What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Just Chattin. Hi guys. It's been a long time. It's really just been a long winter, just struggling, surviving. You know, it is hard out here living in the winter in a state that winter exists in its full capacity. I'm talking freezing temperatures, hurling snow, a little bit of hail, a lot of ice. I survived maybe 3 or 4 snowstorms, a power outage, and a little bit of hydroplaning. So with that in mind, spring, it looks like, has sprung a little bit. And what better time to do it than in the birth of my month, the month of my birth. I'm not cutting that out. It's just so beautiful outside today, and I've had a little bit of time to just sit down and reflect and relax. And now is the time. Now is the time to restart my episodes. They may be few and far between still, because, again, I'm in school again, and the amount of time that gets cut down because I'm in school, and not just coming home after work anymore, is astronomical. And there's also another reason, that I have probably had less time to record my podcast. Which I will reveal later in a little bit, so we can chat about that for a little bit. But I thought it was time for me to come back. No better way for me to come back than on the first day of the month of my birth month. My birthday is in March, so that's so fun. March is spring. Spring has sprung. Flowers are out. There's some flowers in my yard, like small ones, not like, like plant. I guess they are plants, but anyways. So this is also just going to be a very one-off type of episode, okay, guys? So I'm not going to do a lot of editing. It's just me kind of talking, putting it out there. This is raw. This is real, guys. None of this is fake. So I'm just chatting with you guys today. And how have you guys been? Comment how you guys have been, okay? I want to hear from you. I want to connect with my audience. No, but for real. I don't really have a plan to this episode. I think I have some hot takes. But I think I also forgot some of them. Also, I don't have a vanilla latte to do my coffee review. But I do have this kombucha that my best friend just put me on. It's actually the first one I've had of this brand. I love kombucha, by the way. If you don't like kombucha, what are you doing? It's great for your gut. I almost said brain. It's just great for you. It's tea, but it's got that bubbliness to it, and it's got that flavor. It is so yummy. This is a new brand. It's called Brew Doctor, and this is the Island Mango flavor. The ingredients. Where are the ingredients? Oh. Ingredients: brewed tea, mango puree, cane sugar, passion fruit juice, ginger juice, live kombucha, strawberry essence. So, looks pretty healthy to me. Delish. And you guys probably aren't gonna be able to see this, but it's kind of like Snapple. But instead of a fact, it just says, "Baby got booch." Isn't that so cute? And it's a sloth. And if you guys know me, you know I love sloths. That's probably actually a lie. I don't know if I've really ever told people that. I think sloths are cool. So yeah, that is delicious. Highly recommend this brand. Thanks, Noelle, for putting me on that. She's a queen. Anyways, guys, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be back and talking with you again. Let's see. First of all, this is my second semester. My first semester at grad school, last semester, and semester, if you guys aren't from America. No, I don't really know how it's different, but if you're not used to college, things. You have 16 weeks in your classes, and it's called a semester. So last semester mine was from August to December. I took 4 classes, and each class is 3 credits, so that was 12 credits, 4 times 3. I can do a little bit of math, not a lot, but a little bit. And that was a lot. I had 3 in-person classes and 1 online class. And when I tell you that kicked my booty, it kicked it. Literally, it said, boom, and kicked me out the waters. I was in the ocean. I was floating around. I was like, this is nice. And then August came, and it was like, boom, you're done. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Anyways, so that kicked my butt. So I was like drowning with the assignments, and then I was also drowning because my summer was so phantasmical. I just made up a word. So it was so fantastic. I was also just like, the motivation to get the work done was like zilch to none, you know? So that was really horrible. I just didn't want to do anything, didn't want to get my assignments done. That led to probably worse grades than I wanted, but I still ended, like, my GPA is so good. Nothing to worry, like, I'm not in grave danger of, like, oh, you can't move on because you failed them. No, I passed them all. Just, I'm a person who likes to get really good grades, and I did not get really good grades. I just got good grades. So, it is what it is. That semester's over. I took 4 classes, though, and with my job, that was just a lot. A lot of writing, a lot of reading. If you guys don't know, I actually probably haven't even talked about this. Also, the rabbit trails are going insane, guys. Rabbit trails going insane. I'm doing this master's because my job, like, the job that I have, they will pay for your school, like, your tuition, but I have to, like, still be a student in order to keep that job. So I couldn't just, like, not take classes and still have my job that would, like, be able to keep me in Lynchburg. Of course, I could probably have gotten a different job, like, off campus and stayed in Lynchburg. Like, this is a really good gig that I liked. And so I just was like, why not get a master's while I'm at it? So it's something I'm passionate about, but I'm not, like, really working towards, like, when people ask me, like, what I want to do with it, there's not really anything specific I want to do with it. It's called a biblical exposition, just kind of like studying the Bible, like hermeneutics, stuff like that, how to study the Bible, how to study it correctly, like things to look at, what to consider when you're going through the Bible, because a lot of times things can get taken out of context. So that's my major, but I really just want to be a missionary. So I'm just kind of taking it because I needed to stay in Lynchburg and I wanted to keep this job, but I didn't really have, like, a passion per se of what I really wanted to do with my life that would involve more schooling. But I also, like, I was not prepared to go to the mission field yet. Like, the Lord had just, well, I think it was more me. I didn't really seek out any opportunities yet to, like, permanently go to the mission field. I'm not gonna lie, because I was just, like, a little scared. And it just didn't feel like the right time for me to, like, go by myself. I'm still only, like, 21 at the time. So it just feels very young for me to go somewhere by myself. So I was like, let me just stay, get my master's, see what happens. So I think that's where some of my motivation, like, dwindled, was I just haven't really been in it for, like, it's my passion. And, like, getting graded is something I'm just kind of over. Like, I've been in school since, I don't know, my mom could probably tell me, but probably like 4 or 5 or 6, I don't know. So getting graded on my whole life is just, like, I'm reaching that point where I'm like, okay, I don't really want to get graded on anymore. I just want, like, constructive criticism and critiques on, like, what I'm doing, but not, like, what I'm putting out. I don't really know if that's a correct, like, thought process, but that's my thought process. So anyways, that's just where I'm at right now. But with all that being said, we can get into our first big point. So I have recently, yeah, it's still recently. over the summer, like the very tail end of the summer, I started dating this guy. Okay, well, we weren't officially dating yet. I started talking to this guy. And I won't tell you what his name is. I'm trying to be mysterious. But, hello? So we met in small group, my church. That also has been a great thing. I was able to connect more at my church over the summer because Lynchburg is a very college-y town, and so during the school year there's a lot of people who are just here for college, and so they're just coming to everything, so it's hard to meet some people. But over the summer they did small groups, and I was able to join a small group, and that was super great. And so fun. So we ended up being in the same small group and never met each other. Actually, we did meet each other before. My first recollection of him was there were these things called Theology Thursdays that my Sunday school class would do, or they're called discipleship communities at my church. But we would do them, and or like they would have them, and it's just like people in the class or outside the class. He wasn't even coming to our church at that time, just had friends that were in the church. You would come and just ask like theological questions, and then it would be discussion based, like pulling from scripture, like what your thoughts are on different theological issues. So I didn't go to a lot of those because back when I first wanted to start going, yay! Okay, sorry, my best friend just sent me some good news. Wow! I'm so excited for her. Anyways, so sorry, I got sidetracked. So basically, when I wanted to start going, a lot of people were going, and they were held at like houses and apartments, so it can only house so many people. And so every time I would go, I feel like it would just be so crammed. Like I would be sitting in a position, and I also have anxiety, so I wouldn't get there like super early. Because one time I did get there early, and it was really awkward because I didn't know anybody. It turned out being fine, but I'm just like, it's just how my brain works, guys. And I'm trying to work on it. I'm getting better at it, okay? Chill. You guys said nothing to me. I just got very defensive. So, he was like, oh my goodness. So I started going. I went to one, and it was very crammed. I was sitting on like shoes. I had nothing on my back. And you're there for like an hour and a half. So I was just like trying to sit up straight, but then also like looked a little hunched over because it hurts. So everybody's talking about something. And he was like he says he wasn't, but he was like in like the cool kids crowd, okay? Like a lot of people knew him, his best friend, and I think they were, I don't know, they're married now, but I think they were just still dating at that point. They were like pretty solid in the group and like very connected, and so they were like kind of in the middle, and I was sitting like on the side, and all of a sudden like somebody brings up a question. I don't remember what the question is at this point, whatever, and I'm also there with one of my other friends, and I like said something under my breath, like answering the question or like bringing up a point, and I was like something, but not loud enough where the whole group can hear me. He makes eye contact with me, looks over at me, and says, "Yo, you should say that." And I was like, strange man talking to me, what are you doing? And I was like, I was so taken aback that he even heard me, and I was like, no. And he was like, what? You should totally say it. And I was like, no, I'm okay. Because I think at first I thought he was being like sarcastic and be like, no, you should say that, man. Like being, I don't know, funny? I don't know. But I was just like, no, I'm not saying it. I'm too scared. Quite literally did not know anybody else really at this point in that group except for my friend and a couple other people. And there were probably like 35 people in that room. So I was like, no, I'm okay. And then he also remembers that incident. I think I tell it better. But he said that his thought process was like, bro, why is this girl not saying this? Like, she's weird. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So fast forward to the summer. That was in like November? No, I think that was in like October or something. September or October. I don't know, something of 2023. So that's when I first, like, met him. But obviously, I didn't think anything of it. I stopped going to those because I was like, that was horrible. I was also sick that day, so I was like, it was, like, horrible. So I didn't go to those anymore. So I did not see him anymore. But fast forward to June of 2024, we're in the same small group. We meet, whatever, like, he says my name, I say my name, like, he says his name, I say my name, whatever. We meet. Nothing super, like, stand out-ish at first, like, at least for me, to him. I was just like, oh yeah, he's cool, like, I don't know. I was just like, I wasn't looking for anything. Like, I had been in one actual relationship, and it was horrible, so, I wasn't really looking for anything else at this point. I was just kind of like, I feel like I had just freshly committed to go to the mission field, so I was really still exploring my options there, and I was becoming very content with going alone. So I was like, whatever. I don't really need anybody. So then, but I did think he was funny. That was the one thing. I thought he was hilarious. And I would laugh. I also just, like, I feel like I laugh at a lot of stuff. Like, I feel like I'm just a chronic laugher. Chronic laugher, that's funny. But, I would laugh at him a lot when he would say things. And he also mentioned, like, after we got together, that he was like, yeah, I was like, man, I'm not that funny. Why is this girl laughing at me so much? And I was like, I don't know, subconsciously, I guess. But, I wasn't really like, oh, yeah, I would totally want to date him. Like, I have a crush on him. Like, it wasn't that. And I think that was good for me. Because I feel like every other guy I've been interested in, I've just been like, oh my gosh, I just have such a big crush on him. And, I don't know. Like, I'm sure that's good for some people, but for me, I think it needed to happen the way that it did happen. So, June, July, most of August, like, we're very consistent in going to small group. So, we see each other every 2 weeks. And then eventually, like, this is a Sunday, and then August comes, end of August, the Sunday after classes started. We're hanging out after Sunday school one day, and we just start talking, which we've never really talked before that, like, outside of small group, or even, like, in general. There was one time, it was really awkward. I would sit by myself at church, okay, and he came in late and saw me, I guess, and was like, Christine, and I was like, oh, hey, and he was like, you want to come sit with us? And I was like, ooh, I really wanted to say no, I won't lie. I like sitting alone, okay? Maybe that's weird of me, but I enjoyed it. And I was like, sure. And then afterward, like, people were like, who is she? And he was like, oh, she's in my small group. Anyways, they were also people from my Sunday school class. This shows you how inconspicuous and, like, pulled back I was from everything, okay? This shows you how introverted I really am. So, that happened, and then after service, like, we were, like, talking for a little bit. I was trying to make conversation. I think maybe he was too, but it was weird. So, I left, and we didn't really talk after that. And so, then, we're in the same small group. The August Sunday rolls around, the week after classes started. That Thursday before, he invited me to come play volleyball with some people. And I was like, nah, I got, like, a discussion board to do. And he was like, oh, all right. And so I didn't end up going. I shot him down. But, like, he didn't just invite me. He invited everybody at the small group. But I was like, nah, I'm okay. So then the Sunday rolls around. We're talking, like, after Sunday school. We're both going to, like, go to an interest meeting of, like, something that our church does. And so we're talking, and he's like, oh, yeah, we go to that meeting, like, we're sitting with each other, like, nothing like, oh, my gosh, we like each other. Literally, there was never a thought in my brain. I think he was thinking it, but, like, I don't know. So, anyways, we're leaving that meeting, and we're in the hallway of the church, and he's like, I'm like, oh, I'm parked this way, and he's parked the other way. So, he was like, hey, what are you doing today? And I was like, oh, I'm probably going to, like, let me see if I can get better lighting. I said, I'm probably just going to do some homework. And, you know, I just have homework to do, whatever. He was like, oh, he said, I'm going to the library with my roommate and some of my friends if you want to come. And if you guys know me, if you guys have ever talked to me about the library at my school, I detest. I went there a couple times in my freshman year, but, like, and for when I would meet up and, like, do groups with people and we'd have group projects. But I do not like studying at the library. Like, it gives me the ick. I don't like it. Again, I think it's the introvert in me. Like, there's so many people. I usually feel like I could never find a place to sit. So you would think I'd say no, right? But something in me was like, Christine, you have to make new friends. You can do this. Put yourself out there. And I was like, okay. But again, I was still not thinking like, oh, he likes me, or oh, I really like him. It was just very like chill, like friends. And so I was like, oh yeah, sure. And he's like, oh, okay, perfect. He said, let me get your number. There you go. So I can text you when we're gonna be there. And I was like, oh, okay. So he does this in the moment, really like sussed me out, creeped me out, and I was like, ew, I didn't like that. But he thought it was smooth. Anyways, of course, as he would. He got my number, but I don't know if you guys have iPhones, but you can like tap them together and like share your contact. So that's how he got my number, and that's how I got his number. And I was like, I'm very weirded out by this, but okay. So we got my number that way. We leave, goes our ways, go to the library later that afternoon. We're talking in the study room with two of his other friends. One of them was a girl. So I was like, oh, maybe he likes her. That's so fun. His roommate and then another one of his guy friends. I was like, that's so fun. But apparently we were flirting the whole time. I didn't think it was flirting. I don't know. I was just trying to be nice. And then, but one of his friends said that later on. I didn't find this out till later on. So then, yeah, so we're doing that. And then somebody brings up dinner. And him and his roommate and the other guy are going to go to dinner. The girl can't go. And then he's like, oh, do you have dinner plans? And I was like, oh, no, I'm probably just going to go home and, like, get something to eat. In my brain, to this day, I will stand by this fact. I was not putting the invite out there for me to come and have dinner with them. Like, I was just saying my actual plans. Like, I wasn't going to lie and be like, oh, I'm going with a friend. Or no, I was just out there putting my dinner plans out there. But in his brain, he was like, oh, but you didn't, like, not say that you would want to come or whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever. So then he was like, oh, well, do you want to join us? And I was like, again, this is, like, the first time I'm hanging out with this dude. So in hindsight, this is all very weird that I agreed to all of this. But I was like, oh, yeah, sure. And I don't know. That whole situation was just, he claims that, whatever. I still didn't think, like, anything of, like, liking him at this point. Anyways, maybe my subconscious I did, but consciously I was like, I don't really know what's happening. It was food. We were going to Olive Garden. Who doesn't like Olive Garden? So we went to Olive Garden, the three guys, and then me. Which, again, weird. But, like, I didn't think it was that weird. So we ate, whatever, said goodbye. He then, like, the only times he would text me, though, was if he was inviting me to things. So we would only, like, hang out if it was, like, a group for quite a while. We did volleyball, yada, yada. And then, I think there was one time we hung out, like, the two of us, but still in, like, a public place. We were in, like, some, like, the commuter lounge at school. So we, like, hung out there, once. And so we were just, like, talking. And then, there's one day, he then starts inviting me over to his house for, like, Sunday football. Like, for us to watch football on Sundays, over at his house. But again, like, it's a whole group there, yada, yada. So, there's one night I'm over there, and there's a whole bunch of people over there. One of his roommates, and then a girl, that is, like, one of his best friend's wife. They're also friends. We're all friends now. But I didn't really know anyone at this point still. So we're, like, sitting there. We have been talking. It's probably, like, September at this point. So we're talking, like, for a few weeks. And after, like, at this point, we're like, okay, like, we think we like each other. We've been hanging out. But he never, like, says anything to me. And so I'm like, well, I'm not saying anything first. Like, I'm not making this to be more than it, like, it's gonna be, like, it's supposed to be. Because if he's not interested, then I'm not gonna say that I'm interested, even though at this point I was interested, and he was giving me all the signs that he was interested, but he hadn't said anything yet, okay? We were still getting to know each other. Anyways, we're sitting on the couch, all of us, and there's like something where somebody was talking about another friend of theirs, and they were like, oh yeah, they said like they're dating, but they're not really dating, and it wasn't us. And then the girl looks over and she's like, oh, so what you two are doing? And I was like, bro, what? And then it got very quiet, very awkward, and I was like, oh, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. We haven't even talked about it yet. And then somebody else makes a comment, like, about how, like, he was dating me, and I was like, dating? We hadn't even said we liked each other yet. What are you talking about? So then that night, he walks me to my car, and I'm getting ready to leave his house, and he's like, so, some things were said tonight, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, so I want to let you know, he was like, I'm interested. He said, I don't know how you feel, but I'm interested. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I feel the same. And he was like, okay, cool. That's what I thought. I was just making sure. And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, but I didn't want to, like, take you out on a date officially until after, like, his best friend was getting married and he was the best man. So it was, like, a whole thing. Like, the wedding was just coming up. He was like, I just want, like, it to be a priority, like, for you to be the number one priority when I take you out on a date, and I don't have other things going on in my brain. And I was like, okay. I liked that. Some people that I talked to were like, why doesn't he just take you out on a date? Like, yeah, you guys have been talking, and I'm like, okay, like, that's fair. I can see that point of view, but I did appreciate the way he went about that. I won't lie. So I was like, okay, like, that's totally fair. I was like, do you still want to, like, keep talking? Or do you want to, like, I don't know, whatever, not hang out as much until we get to that point? He was like, no. So, because we've been hanging out in group settings, we've never, like, had really a one-on-one conversation at this point. Except for, like, at the car saying bye. So then, we had established that, and I gave him a high five. And I got my car and I left. So then, it's like, it's out there. Woo! We can breathe. And so then, the wedding happens, whatever. People at church start figuring out. Our small group leaders are like, oh, okay. And so, which, shout out to them. They're the reason we're together, I guess. And so, then he takes me on a date. Then, I think it was actually before our first date that I called my dad. And I was like, I need you to come meet this guy. So then a couple weeks after our first date, my dad came down and met him. We talked, everything. They talked. It was a very long conversation. My dad was like, yeah, he's cool. And so then, I can't remember. Oh, actually, I do remember when it was. But then he asked me to be his girlfriend. And we've been dating ever since. So that was in October. So here we are now. So that is another reason my time has been limited. But I could really make the time. I could make the time to do these more. Anyways, that's the whole thing on that. If you guys have any more questions about it, feel free to ask. But I'll answer what I want to answer, okay? That was just kind of our origin story. How we got to where we are. But yeah. He asked me to be his girlfriend at the pizza place when we went out to dinner. And he was like, I didn't know when to do it, like, if to wait till later, but it was so cute. He was so nervous. So then, yeah, that's super fun. He's met my family, I met his family. Things are going great. He also has a heart for mission, so praise the Lord. That has been very refreshing. But yeah, things are going good. Yeah, anyways, moving on. Stop talking about that. Yuck. So our spring break is about to come up, and I actually need to wrap this up too. This is getting long. Our spring break is coming up, and I'm going to Paris again, guys. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, so buckle up, because she's going again. This is my third year in a row going to Paris, and if you would have told me I would have done that 3 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you, but here I am, and I'm doing it. But I'm just going for a week this time for the spring break, obviously. And my sister had a new baby, so I'm going to see her. First niece in the fam, okay? It's super fun. But yeah. super great. But yeah, I'm trying to think. There were some other things like I wanted to say. But anyways, yeah, no, I talked about the school thing. I feel like I talked about winter. Oh my goodness. But yeah, a few of my favorite things lately. I don't really have any songs. I feel like I've been listening to podcasts and like I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately. Don't come for me. But those have just been more appealing to me than music lately. But yeah, that's cool. I got an espresso, guys. So I've been drinking Nespresso. These are the small ones. The espresso pods. But here's like a bigger one. They're expensive. So when I go, hello? Don't come out of the box. So when I go to Paris, I'm gonna stock up because they are so expensive, and they're much more expensive in America than they are in Paris. But yeah, I think my only hot take is to revoke a hot take that I had in the summer, and I think winter is overrated. I'm now flipping the switch. I love spring. I still think summer is too hot sometimes. But this winter was actual, like, it hurt. It hurt me. It hurt my soul. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And I just can't wait for the summer again. I think the winter also, just like being in classes, just really hurts my soul. Having to be in class and trudging through the winter. Okay. Yeah, since I've started dating somebody, I've been getting flowers. So I've been drying all of them so I don't have to like throw them all away. And that's become my new recent obsession. I think it's so fun. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say. Life is good, guys. Life is good. Of course there are days when I'm just like, yeah, but no, life is so good. Life is going good. And yeah, I'm just happy to be talking to y'all again. Let me know what you want to hear from me. If you have a specific topic you want me to talk about or anything. Yeah. I think all I have to say is another thing. No, I'm actually not going to say that because I don't want people to get mad at me. I'm going to keep it to myself. Maybe I'll talk about it in the next podcast because this one is going a little long. And, yeah. Anyways, I'm happy to be back, guys. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next time. Peace out.